My name's Eric, and this is my wife Heather, and our twin sons James and Cole, and this is our story. I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you! James and Cole are typical toddlers. They're curious. They're into everything. They want to learn and see and experience the world. Cole is the climber. He's the curious, adventurous type. He wants to experience and explore as much as he can. James is more the snuggler. He wants to sit in your lap and read a book.
Our story is a very long story because we tried for 4 years before having our boys.
I don't think there was like a set day, but we thought, you know what, let's start a family, and we realized that you know, it was not happening as quickly as, you know, maybe some of our friends or other people.
It was a long process to try and even get pregnant. It took 4 years. We'd had a miscarriage in 2006. And that's when we kind of started our journey in finding out, you know, what our fertility hurdles were.
We ended up with in vitro. The first couple were not successful, which is quite a roller coaster to have to go through.
It was actually our third try when we finally found out we were pregnant. It was April of 2010.
And we were on over the moon. That was amazing.
I hadn't been sick. I hadn't had any issues. We went in on my husband's birthday to go and have an ultrasound. It was
going to be, you know, one of those great days. I was like, what better birthday present than to go into the doctor's office and get an ultrasound. The doctor, you know, after not that long after the examination, says, you know, there's a little bit of a problem here. Immediately that day, I was put into the hospital, and they had to perform a cerclage because they were worried I was going to go into preterm labor. And then everything was pretty good after that. For the next 3-4 weeks, we were fine, except then October 8th. And I remember it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and Heather was like, you know, something doesn't feel right. Well, they went and did an amnio test. I was leaking amniotic fluid. Immediately then, I was no longer walking. I was wheeled everywhere on a gurney. They put me in a room. That's when every ologist in the hospital came in and gave us the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. The cerclage, though it had done its job, the boys still were determined to come. So we were in the hospital. 30 hours later, you know, we just had lunch, and Heather's mom and myself were there with her in the hospital. And I started feeling pressure. She went from, you know, normal, laying there in bed, to she just kind of, you know, hunched over and made a grimace and said something isn't right. The charge nurse checked me. She goes, you are at 8. So I had dilated to 8. That's the point of no return. Then my waters broke. And then it was a scene out of ER. Feel every emotion a human can feel. You're angry. You're excited because your kids are being born. You're exhilarated. You're frustrated. You're sad. You're happy. You're you know, it's a real challenging experience emotionally. James was born at 2:08. Cole was born at 2:11. James came out and gave a cry. Cole came out, but he went underneath my rib cage. He actually came out blue. So they had to do an additional cut on me in order to get Cole out. They had to pull on his legs in order to get him down. That's when we didn't know it, but his femur broke. James was 2 pounds 4 and Cole was 1 pound 10. First time I saw him actually was they were being walked into the rooms and put into the isolettes, and they were being worked on by the staff there, the nurses, to get them breathing. And I just remember thinking how small they were. You know, you put your hand in there. I mean, I remember my wedding ring. I mean, this was a bigger hole than what their legs or arms would be able to fit through. So, I mean, you could easily fit their entire leg through something like that, their foot and everything. They were considered micro-preemie. Micro-preemie. Their gestational age was 25 weeks and 5 days. They're just so small. You know, I'm looking at something that's the size of my hand, and my little men, and they were just so tiny, and they have all these tubes coming out of them. When they were born, they tell you it's a roller coaster because you'll take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. They're hooked up to every machine known to man, and there's so many beeps and buzzes and numbers and things like that. So the first few days, it's really learning and kind of getting used to all of that.
It was just a very humbling experience, and knowing all the things the nurses had to do and all of just to save their lives. For a long time, we were very concerned that they wouldn't be coming home with us. They were in the NICU for 96 days. Boys were supposed to be born January 17th. They were born October 9th. But they came home on January 12th, and we call it that's their gotcha day.
I daily think about how blessed we are and how lucky we are.
I can't imagine my life without them. James, I call him my little sparkle eyes because he's the one who he has this smile that his eyes just sparkle. My boys both have blue eyes, and James, he is my oceans, and Cole is my skies.
Whoa!
James has some developmental delays. He is slower to walk because he was born so prematurely. We are still paying attention to their eyes and eye development, but really, their prognosis couldn't be better.
They're toddlers, so they're amazing. Their curiosity and just the explosion of knowledge and learning is so amazing to watch.
Whoa! Good job, James.
The March of Dimes, their mission is to research and learn about ways to combat prematurity and birth defects. But I think about the future babies, and babies who still struggle and have trouble. The research and the knowledge that the funding March of Dimes provides can help future babies have a better time. The March of Dimes mission is never over. It's through funding and donation that they're able to succeed.
We work with March of Dimes because we brought our children home, and some people didn't have that opportunity. And we were very blessed, and we're very fortunate that March of Dimes did that work and did so much that my boys were able to come home to us.